This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. So let's say I want to put solar on my building. I can get big write-offs. I know putting solar on my building and on my house. When do I need to do that by? I know I need to do it by December 31st, but do they need to be physically placed, or do I got to place the order?
Great question on that. So whether it's for individual or business, whether home for at your business location, it needs to be that it's complete. And the term that IRS uses is in service. And that just means that it is being used for that purpose. Now, this credit is 30% of what your cost is. Now, it's going to include sales tax and the labor and any type of battery that you have to put into play to be able to store and harness power. With the businesses, there's an investment tax credit. It's 30% up front. You can carry it back 3 years, carry it forward 22 years. Also related to this is a production tax credit. So it's either or, and you're getting a tax credit as it produces power. Here's something that's going to really blow your mind, Josh. I know you've already heard about it, but probably those tuning in may have not, because when I'm doing seminars around the country, many are very surprised by what I'm getting ready to say. But these tax credits are able to be sold, and it's tax-free to the person who's selling these tax credits, and anybody can buy these tax credits. So you do $1 million investment for your business, you get a $300,000 credit, you could sell it tax-free. So your net cost would be $700,000. And then for a business, you can depreciate whatever's left over. And with that credit, it only is an add back by 50%. So that sounds like a lot of stuff related to that. And it is, but see, Josh, this is why you and I always say you've got to get with professionals when you're getting into these. And if you're going to do $1 million investment, you better sit down and first talk with Josh. But these are sexy, if I can dare say that word, when we're talking about taxes.
So I want to unpack that buying tax credit thing. It's a little confusing. But first, on my building, so I want to put solar on my building. Can I wait till next year? Is it the same write-off this year versus next year?
Great question. It's the same all the way until 2032. So we got lots of time. And then after that, the percentage just goes down. So you do have time, and it does take time to get it all in play. But with this, I mean, when you're talking about tax credit, it's reducing down your tax. Now, for those that are doing it on their home, the key here is that whatever your tax credit is that it's going to reduce your tax dollar for dollar, as I indicated. But once your tax is to zero, then it's going to carry over to the next year. So for those that are getting the tax credits, also be smart just in the sense of, well, how much is that? What is my tax? How much will it be that I get to experience this year? So if you get a $300,000 tax credit, or on your home, you have a $20,000 tax credit. Well, if your tax is $15,000 on the individual side there, well, that $20,000 credit, well, it's going to zero out that tax. You're going to get that experience of saving 15 grand. And then that $5,000 remainder or differential is going to carry over to the next year, and then you'll be able to benefit from it there. So just one thing to keep in mind, a lot of states have grants that go along with this, not to mention that there's energy savings compared to whatever your current costs typically. But with this, basically the IRS has put out some good information out there. There's not a lot of manufacturers yet here in the States, so I think we're going to see a lot of growth in this area. Only reason to say that is that very interested to see in the years to come, Josh, what your thoughts are in investing in this area as well, especially as this expands in our country for those wanting to take advantage of this.
Oh, that's good. We actually did a whole segment and did a lot of research on nuclear, because I think with all of the people going to solar and Tesla and this and that, electronic vehicles, it's going to put so much pressure on the energy grid. I think the investment opportunities in stuff like hydrogen, nuclear, uranium, and actually the things that they're going to extract out of the ground, like lithium. Lithium's actually kind of taken a bath this year, but we think the opportunity will be, you still need natural resources to do these green things. And there's limited quantities, limited uranium, limited finite quantities of various things. Although I'm of the opinion that these finite things aren't that finite, meaning, remember peak oil, they said, oh, we wouldn't have enough oil. I do think though, sort of the genie's out of the bottle. EVs are taking over, solar's taking over, renewable energy's taking over, but at what cost? What cost on the grid? So I think people are going to wake up, and we see it in Germany already. People are waking up and saying, hey, we need coal now. We need fossil fuels a little bit more than we thought we needed them. So I think anything natural resource related will be a good play. Uranium will be a good play. So solar in my house, solar in my building. And what does that work out to be? If I spend 50 grand on solar in my house, what do I get back?
Well, you're going to get a $15,000 credit, and then the savings that would come into play over time. And then many of the states also have either tax credits or grants to help offset that cost. And so the way to look at this, though, is that when you're getting that tax credit, it's not going to be at the moment you're buying it or financing it. It's going to be realized when you're filing your tax return. And so if you are wanting to experience those tax savings immediately, what you would want to be doing is either reducing down your withholdings from wages or your estimated tax payments. So many can think, and I just say that we want to always look at this with our advisors, but many think, well, if I get this solar credit, somebody's going to write me a check, and in your example, for 15 grand, 30% of 50,000. And that's not the case. No one's going to write you a check for this. What you're going to do is pay less in taxes. So that is a different realization of it. Now, I'm going to throw in there for you, if I could, IRS just announced last week that for vehicles, so switching gears here for a little bit, on the electric vehicles, hybrid plug-ins, there's the credits are up to $7,500 for new vehicles. Now, starting 1/1/24, you'll be able to walk into the dealership, and if that vehicle qualifies and that dealer has registered, you're going to experience that $7,500 credit right then and there, not as cash to you, but as a dollar for dollar reduction in the purchase price of that vehicle. So that is huge. There's also the same credit for used vehicles through a dealership up to $4,000. So in that circumstance, you're realizing it right away. Now, one of the things that I would say is if you're going to sell one of these credits, now right now you can't sell a credit on your house. You can't sell a credit related to the solar on your home. You can sell the credits that are related to solar on your business, but that can be immediately realized. The way that somebody would basically be able to sell this is through the IRS. They're going to have a trading floor, for lack of a better word, starting next year, which is not far away. But with this, they're not going to pay $300,000 for a $300,000 credit because they then wouldn't really save anything. So these credits are most likely going to sell at a discount depending on what the market will bear. So someone buys a $300,000 credit for $280,000. Well, they're going to come out ahead by 20K. And then that person who sold the credit's going to make $280,000, and it's tax-free. That basically offsets their cost.